Alright gamers, I'm Danny from Press Start Gaming and I welcome you back to the channel. This time around I'm going to be taking a look at more underrated Xbox 360 games. Let's crack on. So the Xbox 360 is probably one of my favourite consoles of all time. It's probably one of the consoles that I've spent the most time on as well. There is a plethora of amazing games that just don't get the love they deserve. I've already done episode 1 of underrated Xbox 360 games and you can see it up in whichever corner the links go, I don't remember. And I have another 9 games to cover in this episode, so let's just crack on with it. First game I would like to mention is a first person shoot 'em up on the console, and that is Singularity. Singularity is a wonderful first-person shooter. It is a gimmick game which doesn't always pay off to be a fantastic title, but when the gimmick works, and this does work, it produces such a fantastic fun game to play. In this game you are armed with the ability to manipulate time, which is wonderful to use. It feels intuitive, it feels like it was meant to be used rather than just tapped on at the end. It feels like they built the game around the gimmick, which, what more can you ask for really? Basically you're fighting the past to save the future, which is absolutely fantastic. Like the last episode, I'm not going to go into each game too much. I'm hoping I can just mention the games, then you go and check them out yourselves. So the first one is Singularity. The next game I'm going to mention is a 3D adventure game, and it is Mini Ninjas. Sorry about the sticker on the bottom of the case, I tried my hardest to get it off, but then I got pissed off and just left it. In Mini Ninjas, guess what? You play as a mini ninja named Hero. You're tasked with saving the world, you can stop time and control natural powers. It's a really fun little adventure game. I wasn't expecting much from it when I first played it, but once I'd started playing it, I literally couldn't play anything else until I'd finished it. And then I went straight back and played it again, which I don't do with many games, but this game is really, really fun. If you haven't played it, I would highly recommend you give it a go. And yeah, Mini Ninjas is lots and lots and lots of fun, and I don't believe many people have played it because you didn't really see a sequel, you didn't see anything from it since. I'm still crying out for a sequel. It would be really, really good, but we've gone a whole gaming generation without one, so I don't see it happening. But yeah, if you haven't played it, give it a chance. That's Mini Ninjas. So the next game is an open world RPG game set in medieval times, you know, fantasy, swords, shields, that sort of stuff, magic. It's absolutely fantastic. It's Kingdoms of Amalur: Reckoning. This game has a really interesting backstory, which I won't go into now. I'll possibly put a link to a video which does go into the backstory. But I think they were trying to sort of rival the likes of Skyrim and whatnot, and maybe create a better game than the likes of Two Worlds, which I happen to really like Two Worlds, but I know a lot of people hated it. Kingdoms of Amalur, set in a beautiful, truly gorgeous world. The combat is really, really intuitive. It's really fun to play. The controls are wonderful. There's not really much more I can say about this game in a short amount of time. I might go into it in more detail in its own video in the future, but Kingdoms of Amalur on the Xbox 360 is definitely one that you should play. Yes, it is made by EA. Don't let that put you off. It is absolutely fantastic. I do believe it's only published by EA though, so, you know, that will probably make things a little bit better for you. Another underrated game on the 360, Kingdoms of Amalur: Reckoning. So the next game I'm going to mention is actually a release game. I believe it was originally planned to be on the N64, maybe even the GameCube, maybe even the SNES. I'm not really sure how far back this game goes, but it's by Rare, and it was brought over to the Xbox when Microsoft bought Rare, and that is Kameo. Now I know that this game gets a lot of hate. I don't fully understand why. Just like I find myself saying that in so many of my videos, like games that I enjoy that just get a lot of hate, and I never ever know why. And it's the same with this game. I just don't know why people don't like it. It's a fun platforming adventure game where you take control of Kameo, who can turn into different beasts, different monsters. It's got fast-paced combat. I think you can turn into 10 different monsters. It's absolutely brilliant. Again, if you haven't played it, I'm not surprised. I think it got very low ratings on the Metacritic and whatnot at the time, and I understand why people haven't gone to it. But if you haven't played it, I would recommend you pick it up. It's relatively cheap now. I'd say possibly even very cheap. You could probably pick it up for under $5, and it will definitely be worth it. I promise you, it'll be worth it. Definitely give it a go. and that is Kameo, Elements of Power. So when I decided to do this original video, I was talking to a few of my friends on Twitter, and one of the games that was recommended to me was Chrome Hounds. Now, I'm not really into my mechs and all that sort of stuff, it's just not the sort of games I play, but on the recommendation from a friend on Twitter, I picked it up, and it is actually a really, really fun game. It does have the Sega logo, which is it means a certain amount of quality anyway. I think it was originally based to be an online-only game, which makes a lot of sense to me if you're in these sort of games and you can create like a team and go to war with other mechs. I get that, and it sounds a lot of fun, and I kind of wished I'd played it back in the day. But the single player aspect is pretty fun, it's worth a play, and it's very, very cheap at the moment. So if you do fancy it, and if you're into your mechs, definitely pick it up, and that is Chrome Hounds. Now for the next one, I'm a massive fan of RPG games. I'm also a big fan of Metal Gear Solid. I'm a big fan of the Splinter Cell series. So this game was sort of a no-brainer to me. It is flawed. There is certain things wrong with it. There's certain things that don't work as well as you would like them to work. But overall, the game is definitely worth it, and it's a very, very fun time. And that is Alpha Protocol. And now I know that a lot of people probably haven't played this, and there might be a few people out there who haven't even heard of it, but it is definitely worth a playthrough. As I say, it's an RPG game. It's actually a tactical espionage RPG game. The missions are pretty cool. The way it plays is pretty cool. Like I say, there's a few little flaws, but I'll let you find them yourself. Again, it's not a very expensive game, so if you're a fan of the Xbox 360 and you don't own this, or you have never played this, even if you've played it before and you didn't like it, I would definitely recommend to go back to it, because when I originally played it, I wasn't a big fan, to be perfectly honest. But then I went back and I tried it again, and it really is a fun game. It really is a game that is worth your time if you're into these sort of games. And even if you're not into these sort of games, I would recommend you give it a go, because it is really good. It's a fun game. It's, like I say, it is slightly flawed in certain areas, but those flaws are easy to get past, and when you do eventually get past those flaws and you can get on with the game, it is a fun game, and it's a game that's worth your time, and that's Alpha Protocol on the Xbox 360. So the next one is practically a clone of the Gears of War games. It's a cover shooter with a twist, and that is Dark Sector. As you can see, you have this little weapon here. I believe it's called the Glaive. It's been a while since I've played it, so my memory is a little hazy. What I can remember about the game, though, is it's a really fun, excellent game. Excellent might be a little too far, but it is a really good game. The cover mechanics work really well. The Glaive is so much fun to wield, and if you haven't played it, give it a go. I don't think the magazines and whatnot rated it at the time. It is, like I say, almost a clone of Gears of War, but if you like Gears of War, then try the clone. It is really, really fun. If you're a big fan of the Xbox 360 and you haven't played this game, get on it as soon as you can. It's really cheap. I actually think I picked it up for less than 50p from the gamepad in Kings Lynn. And yeah, played it back in the day when it first came out. Such a fun game. If you haven't played it, give it a go. That's Dark Sector. So the next one, the second to last game I'm going to mention in this video, is a lot like a Grand Theft Auto style game. It's an open world with driving, shooting, missions, climbing, all that other stuff. It's called The Saboteur. So in this game you take control of an Irish expatriate called Sean. And in this game you are tasked with the job of freeing Nazi-occupied Paris. One of the really cool aspects of this game is it's really fun to play. The controls are fantastic. Normally in this kind of game the driving controls can definitely lower the quality of the game, but in this game that is not the case. The driving in this is easy, it's fantastic. There's really good racing sections inside the game. I'm not a massive racing fan. I have been getting into my racing games recently, but the racing in this game is really, really good. Like I've said with other games in this video, I'm not going to go into it in too much detail, but out of all the games that I've mentioned in this video, this is one of the ones that I recommend the highest. The one that I'm going to be mentioning last is the game that I recommend highest, but this one, definitely find it. It's not very expensive. Again, I think I might have picked this game up for less than maybe £3 from the gamepad. And I picked it up especially for this video, but I am definitely going to be giving it a playthrough soon. So that's The Saboteur. Definitely worth it. Again, don't let the EA logo put you off. So the last game that I'm going to mention is one of my favourite games on the Xbox 360. It's so much fun to play. There's so many cool things you can do with the character, and there's so many cool different ways you can take down the enemies. and that is Stranglehold. I'm not into kung fu sort of martial arts movies or anything like that, but this plays out like one of them, and it is absolutely amazing. I would easily say that this is one of my favourite games on the console, and if you haven't played it, then you need to change it as soon as you possibly can, because this game is brilliant. I'm not going to go into much detail because I really want you to just give it a go yourself. I'm the sort of guy who, when a new game comes out, I don't watch any trailers or read anything about it. If I know that I want to play it, I will just play it and go in blind, and most of the time that really pays off because I end up loving the game regardless. So yeah, this is Stranglehold. John Woo presents Stranglehold on the Xbox 360. If you haven't played it, play it as soon as you can because it's fantastic. Well, that was another video about underrated Xbox 360 games. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you find one or two at least of these games, pick them up, give them a go. Let me know what you think, because I personally think that the Xbox 360 has so many underrated games. If you'd like to see a part 3, please let me know down in the comments. I'm sure I could find another load of Xbox 360 games that you might be interested in and that I consider to be underrated. But if you like what you saw, please consider subscribing to my channel, hit that like button, and as always, keep on gaming. Pew pew pew!